365 Felix Roman II, Italian antipope, dies after failing to regain position as pope from Liberius. 950 Lotharius, king of Italy 947-50, dies. In 1247 Robin Hood, dies from a Lytell Geste of Robin Hood. In 1286 Erik V of Denmark, Danish King b. 1249. In 1318 Mikhail Yaroslavich, Russian Prince b. 1271. In 1594 Martin Frobisher, English privateer, explorer Canada, and later vice-admiral, who helped defeat the Spanish Armada, dies aged between 55 and 59. In 1617 Ahmed I, 14th Sultan of the Ottoman Emperor 1603-17, dies at 27. In 1694 John Tillotson, English Archbishop of Canterbury 1691-94, dies at 64. In 1697 Libéral Bruant, French architect b. 1635. In 1716 Johann Aegidius Bach, German violist, organist, and orchestra leader, buried at 60. Notorious English pirate who operated in the West Indies and eastern coast of North America, dies in battle at 38. In 1751 Anton Englert, German composer and organist, dies at 77. In 1758 Richard Edgcumbe, 1st Baron Edgcumbe, British politician b. 1680. English military officer, and first governor of the Bengal Presidency 1757-60, 1764-67 who helped establish British East India Company rule in Bengal, dies of a suspected suicide after he was found with a cut to his throat from a penknife at 49. In 1776 Johann Caspar Simon, German organist and composer, dies at 75. In 1781 Jan Eccles the Elder, Dutch painter and cartoonist, dies at 57. In 1782 John Barraith, vicar pamphleteer, dies. In 1782 John de Mol, Dutch porcelain manufacturer, dies at 56. In 1783 John Hanson, American Continental Congressman and first U.S. President under Articles of Confederation, dies at 68. In 1794 John Alsop, American Continental Congressman b. 1724. In 1799 Baroness van Dorth, orangist, executed. In 1803 Bernardus Bosch, Dutch vicar and poet, dies at 57. In 1813 Johann Gottfried Wieling, composer, dies at 63. In 1825 Anne Bailey N.E. Harris, British-American Revolutionary War scout and messenger, and pioneer woman, known as Mad Anne, dies at 85. In 1826 Pavel Lambert Marek, Czech composer, dies at 65. In 1852 August Alexander Klengel, German pianist and composer, dies at 69. In 1859 Ludwig Louis Boer, German violinist composer Forst, dies at 75. In 1871 Oscar G. Dunn, Lt. Governor, dies suddenly, charges he was poisoned. American politician, 18th Vice President Republican 1873-75 and Senator Massachusetts 1855-73, dies of a stroke at 63. In 1879 Catherine Dickens, British author, cookbook novelist What Shall We Have for Dinner, and wife of Charles Dickens 1836-58, dies of cancer at 64. In 1886 William Bliss Baker, American realist painter Fallen Monarchs, Morning After the Snow, dies of a cold at 26 after sustaining injuries while ice skating. In 1890 Johann Louise Heiberg, Danish actress, dies at 77. In 1893 James Calder, 5th President of the Pennsylvania State University b. 1826. In 1896 George Washington Gale Ferris Jr., American engineer and inventor Ferris wheel, dies of typhoid fever at 37. In 1896 Leon Leopold Lewandowski, Polish composer, dies at 65. In 1896 Vicente River Palazzo, Mexican liberal politician, military leader, and writer-governor of the state of Mexico, dies at 64. British composer The Golden Legend, Onward, Christian Soldiers, Major generally remembered for his comic operas with W.S. Gilbert The Pirates of Penzance, H.M.S. Pinafore, The Mikado, dies of heart failure at 58. In 1901 Alexander Kovalsky, Russian biologist, founded comparative embryology and experimental histology and identified a common pattern of embryological development in all multicellular animals, dies at 61. In 1902 Friedrich Alfred Krupp, German steel and arms manufacturer Krupp AG supplied the German Navy, dies of suspected suicide after being outed as a homosexual in Italian newspapers and in the German social democratic magazine Vorwärts. In 1902 Septimus Winner, American songwriter Listen to the Mockingbird, dies at 75. In 1904 Theophile Ia de Bock, painter etcher, dies. In 1906 Ernst Josson, Swedish painter, dies at 55. In 1907 Asaph Hall, American astronomer who discovered satellites of Mars Phobos Deimos, dies at 78. In 1908 Paul Taffanel, French flautist, conductor Paris Opera, 1890-1906, instructor and composer, dies at 64. American activist and author Call of the Wild, dies at 40. In 1917 Tuobato Mailer, German-born explorer B. 1842. In 1919 Francisco Morno, Argentine explorer Patagonia, and museum founder La Plata Museum of Natural History, dies at 67. In 1923 Ernst Diebs, German cartographer Baedeker, and namesake of a lunar crater, dies at 83. In 1924 Hermann Heigemans, Dutch writer on hope, heap of blessing, dies at 59. In 1926 Darvish Khan, Iranian classical tar Persian lute player, dies in a vehicle accident at 54. In 1932 William Walker Atkinson, American author B. 1862. In 1936 Louis Paul, Dutch painter, etcher and literary, dies at 86. In 1940 Wacko Rauxberent, Polish biologist and writer, dies at 67. In 1941 Kurt Kofker, German Gestalt psychologist, dies of illness at 55. In 1941 Werner M. L. Dares, German ace fighter pilot B. 1915. American lyricist, usually to music of Richard Rodgers' I Could Write a Book, My Funny Valentine, dies of pneumonia from exposure after drinking heavily in NYC at 48. In 1943 Pietro Yon, Italian-American organist, Patrick S. Cathedral, 1927-43, St. Francis Xavier Church, 1907-26, composer Jess Bambino, Concerto Gregoriano, and educator, dies from complications 7 months after a stroke at 57. In 1944 Arthur Eddington, English astrophysicist, cosmologist and mathematician dies at 61. In 1944 George Clawson, English painter, dies at 92. In 1946 Bertie Rosen-Ness, cricketer South Africa Test, dies. In 1946 Otto Georg Theorik, German jurist and politician Reich Minister of Justice 1942-45, dies at 57. In 1953 Sid Suleiman,